Before we start, let me submit to you two things. That the liver has the capacity to live forever because it can regenerate. If you want to live longer, take care of your liver. It never ages and can sustain other organs. Two, while other organs work as a passage through which material passes, e.g. the kidney is a sieve, the lungs are a place for gases exchange, the heart pumps blood, the liver is a factory where substances change from one form to another, literally. No other organ does that. The liver is the second largest organ in the body after the skin, and it's the busiest organ, performing thousands of functions in the body. Other organs are only specialized in one or two or three activities. It's alcoholic, you may say, and because it does so much work, it was given the grace to regenerate and regrow at will. It's the only organ in the body that if you cut it in half, it can actually regrow. For this, you have every reason to take care of, to shelter it. Let us mention a few functions of the liver. Number one, it's the main detoxifying organ in the body. Have you ever felt you smell medicine after taking some pharmaceutical drugs? You smell it on your skin. It's the liver rejecting the medicine and casting out of the body through the skin. The liver notices that you have taken poison. Therefore, it works very fast to remove it. This never happens when you take herbal medicine. Nobody has ever said they smell a herbal concoction after they took it. This is because the liver notices that the chemicals in the herbs are friendly to the body. So if you are used to taking so many pharmaceutical drugs, you are overworking the liver. And with time, the liver will weaken. And if you get viral infection, for example, what we saw happen during COVID, so many countries in the West that promote use of pharmaceutical medicine had so many casualties because the function of the liver is to give you protection, but the liver failed because it has been overworked earlier and couldn't protect the person. The liver, secondly, converts glucose, excess glucose in the body, into glycogen during metabolism. The liver fights viruses and maintains hepatic and portal veins. These are the veins that come from the intestines. The liver produces albumin, whose function is to prevent fluids and blood from seeping from the veins into the tissues. The moment you realize that you are swelling in the body, it means less albumin is being produced. It produces prothrombin, which is a clotting factor, which makes sure that we do not overbleed. The moment you realize that you are bleeding from wounds or nose bleeding, then there is a problem with your liver. It produces globulins for immunity purposes. It produces bile from red blood cells that have been broken down. And this bile is used for fat digestion. It stores nutrients like vitamin A, D, E, K, vitamin 12, zinc, iron, magnesium, etc. So if the liver fails, then we are in total trouble. So what are the telltale signs that shows that your liver is in trouble? We said you have to take care of your liver. One is accumulation of fluids around your abdomen, the belly, around the legs and ankles. All the blood must go through the liver, and it goes through it at a very rapid pace. But if there is a problem, a malfunction in the liver, the movement of blood through the liver is slowed down, which results to blood pooling back and fluids being retained on the lower part of the body. This leads to these swellings. Accumulation of fluids that causes swelling also comes about because the liver can't produce albumin, which prevents fluids and blood from seeping through the veins into the surrounding tissues. And with this, you realize people who have liver problem have swollen legs, ankles, feet, and abdomen, as the tissues around the fluid take in fluid. Secondly, if you urinate very dark urine, it's time you took action. This is because the liver can't break down bilirubin, a product of red blood cells that have been broken down, and convert it into bile, which is then passed out through the intestines. When bilirubin accumulates in the blood, you start noticing these color changes in urine and even in eyes. Blood in stool or when you vomit it is a sign of liver cirrhosis. This is because the liver can't process all the blood that's being pumped into it. And this accumulation of too much blood in the liver will prompt the spleen to try to pick the blood and redirect it somewhere else, in the small intestines, in the portal veins. And if the portal veins are overswollen, they will start bleeding, and thus you will see blood in the stool. The spleen also redirects the blood towards the esophagus, the gut system. And when the veins of the esophagus are full of this blood, the pressure will cause them to burst, and thus you will see somebody vomiting blood. When this takes place, the spleen itself will start swelling. So such people will also have a swollen spleen because it is taking in the blood and redirecting it somewhere else. Fourth, a good liver produces a lot of platelets. These are tiny cells that help the blood to clot when exposed to air. Without this, somebody with a bad liver will have frequent bleeding because the blood cannot clot in the nostrils and their wounds. Fifth, if the liver fails to detoxify the blood, too much toxin will accumulate in the brain, which results to hepatic encephalopathy, which basically means the person will have confusion, memory loss, lethargy, because the neurons in the brain, the cells that make up the brain, cannot function properly in the middle of toxins and poisons. Sixth, we have what we call varicose veins. Because blood cannot go through the liver as fast as it should, blood will start pooling up in the lower abdomen. It will build up in the veins, and the veins will start swelling. Basically, in the legs, you will see veins around the legs. And these veins are unnaturally big. Seventh, have you ever gone into a room and you realize that there is only one person there, but the room is smelling like rotten? It is called feta hepatic syndrome, which means the breath has a strong, musty or rotten smell. This means the liver has failed to eliminate sulfur substances from the bloodstream, which later go to the lungs and they are breathed out. The smell is also noticed in the urine, and this is dimethyl disulfide and methyl mercaptan. This means the liver couldn't break down methionine. Eighth, itchiness. Itchiness comes because the liver failed to break down bile salts, and these bile salts accumulate under the skin, and the person feels itchy. Ninth, spider vein or angiomas are veins that look like spider webs on the legs and arms and the shoulders. This is because the liver couldn't break down estrogen. These spider-like structures appear in both children and adults. 10th, because of its many activities, the liver produces a lot of heat. It actually literally keeps you warm when you sleep. So if you always feel cold, it might be because of your liver. 11th, breasts in men. Adrenal glands produce androstenedione, which is converted to estrogen. And because it is not eliminated from the blood, the estrogen accumulates in the body of men. Thus, the primary characteristics of women start appearing in men. 12th, if you have red hands, or what we call, it might be because of a bad liver. If you press the red part of the hand, the redness goes away and comes back. The hands are usually warm and not painful nor itchy. The redness in the hands is mainly because of accumulation of too many hormones that were supposed to be eliminated but they have not been eliminated, which causes the capillaries, the small vessels that bring blood to the hands, to dilate, to become large. Thus, the redness is witnessed. This redness can also appear in the sole of your feet. Physically, a normal liver looks like the first one in the picture. And as we continue down, it shows how bad the liver is becoming. Those other three are showing a diseased liver. If you have these symptoms or you know somebody who has the same symptoms, it's important you take action. Instead of waiting, then it becomes costly.